Hey everyone, it's Kenny from Slurv.com, and I'm back again to go over my favorite cash game plays for the Quicken Loans National this week. Before we get into that, let's review last week's U.S. Open cash game picks. My four favorite cash game plays last week were Jason Day, Matt Kuchar, Charles Schwartzel, and Webb Simpson. Day, Cooch, and Charles all made the cut, but Webb was a disaster. His new putting stroke didn't hold up, but he wasn't really that great from tee to green. You know, you combine those two things together, you can see why he played so poorly last week. After a 76 on Thursday, Jason Day finished the tournament strong, and at one point got to -1 on Sunday before he faded a little bit, finishing in 8th place. Schwartzel was in a decent spot heading into Sunday. I think he was +3. But he faded as well. Shot a 74 on Sunday to finish in 23rd. Kuchar really wasn't in contention at any point during the week, which sort of surprised me. But you know, he was still like 4 over going into the final day, which is not too bad. But he faltered also on Sunday, finishing with a 76 in the final round and finishing in 46th place. Not the greatest week, but it was a tough course. And getting info from a course that has only really hosted one meaningful event in the last 10 years is tough to do. So this week's a little bit easier as the tour moves to the D.C. suburbs right around my neck of the woods. The Quicken Loans National is played at Congressional Country Club in Bethesda, Maryland. I will actually be there Thursday to watch some of the tournament, so that should be fun. Just a bit of info before you dive into your research. This tournament was not played here in 2010, 2011, and 2015. Plus, the course went through a major redesign after the 2009 tournament, meaning that the only years you should probably look for to get info from is 2012, 2013, and 2014. You might be able to look at the 2011 stats as well, since the U.S. Open was played there that year. But the course setup was a little bit different. It was tougher, and even though Rory, ended up killing the course because of all the rain and the softened course conditions, which could be a possibility this week because it's actually pouring outside my house right now, and rain is in the forecast for the next couple of days. So that's something to keep an eye on as you get closer to your lineup lock. Also, this is another invitational tournament with a smaller field. Only around 125 golfers in this tournament, but the cut is still top 70 in ties. This is important for cash games because, 5 of 6 lineups might not cash. 4 of 6 lineups probably have no chance, unlike other weeks with full fields where getting 4 of 6 through still gives you a shot at being in the money. The course itself is tough. It's a 7,500 plus yard par 71 with 4 par 3s and 3 par 5s. The course is very long. It has 7 of the 11 par 4s are over 450 yards, and the par 5 ninth can play over 650 yards. The fairways are narrow, very thick rough around the fairways, could be up to 4 inches. And there's plenty of bunkers on the course, over almost 100 of them, all scattered throughout the course. The greens are small, firm, and very fast, with a Stimpmeter rating of around 13. Some stats I'm looking for this week are going to be ball striking, which is a combination of driving accuracy, driving distance, and greens in regulation. All 3, which I think are very important this week, and it sort of condenses all those 3 stats into one. I'm going to look at par 4 scoring. I'm going to look at birdie or better percentage and par 5 scoring as well. If you'd like to read my detailed course description and detailed description of my key stats, check out my article this week on ProjectRoto.com. It's free to read for everyone. So now, let's move on to our picks this week. I'm actually starting a little bit lower in price than usual with Brendan Steele as my first pick at $9,900. I like Jim Furyk and I like Charlie Hoffman in the 10K and up range, but I'll be starting my cash lineup with Brendan Steele this week. Steele, he's been playing really good golf lately, making his last 5 cuts on tour with 4 top 20s in that span. He's made all 3 of his cuts at Congressional since the course redesign, including a 5th place finish in 2014 and a 16th place finish in 2013. So he's definitely performed well here in the past. Other than his putting stats, his other stats line up really, really well with the course. He's 14th in ball striking, 8th in par 5 scoring, 68th in par 4 scoring, 48th in birdie or better percentage, and 42nd in strokes gained tee to green. He hasn't won a tournament since 2011. He's only won one in his career, but I think he has a chance to do it this week. He is actually going to be my sleeper pick to win. So next up, dropping a little bit lower, my second pick this week, my second favorite cash game play, is going to be Roberto Castro at $8,600. Castro has made 7 of 8 cuts in the last couple of months, but has really turned it on recently, finishing 11th at the Memorial and 2nd at the Wells Fargo in Charlotte. These are the last 2 tournaments that he's played. He has never missed a cut at Congressional in 3 tries, and he's never finished outside the top 30 in any of those 3 times as well. His best finish was 2nd in 2013. Stat-wise, he's solid. 34th in ball striking, 58th in par 5 scoring, 61st in birdie or better percentage, 29th in strokes gained tee to green, and 5th in par 4 scoring. His putting stats aren't the best, but he has shown that he can putt well on this course in the past. Next up, my third favorite cash game play is going to be Daniel Summerhays at $8,100. This is more of a form pick for me than a stats pick because his stats don't really line up as well as the other guys on this list. But he is an elite putter, plays par 5s well, and he makes a lot of birdies. All these things are going to be needed this week on this course. His form, though, is rock solid. He's made 9 of his last 10 cuts on tour, with 5 top 25s in that span, including an 8th place finish at the U.S. Open last week. He has made 2 of 3 cuts at Congressional in the past, and he finished with a high finish of 17th in 2012. I really think he's underpriced at $8,100 this week, and I think he's a shoo-in for a made cut. So let's move on to my final cash game play this week. It's going to be Hudson Swofford at $7,000. Swofford, he's made 5 cuts in a row on tour, and he finished in 11th place at his only other appearance at Congressional in 2014. Pretty solid stuff for a golfer at this price range. He also has really good stats for the course. He's 8th in ball striking, and ball striking I think is going to be my main stat to look at this week. He's 58th in birdie or better percentage, 37th in par 4 scoring, 39th in par 5 scoring, and he's a really good putter as well. He also hits the ball a mile, which should help him on this long course that requires driver on a lot of the holes. So let's recap. My 4 favorite plays this week are going to be Brendan Steele at $9,900, Roberto Castro at $8,600, Daniel Summerhays at $8,100, and Hudson Swofford at $7,000. If you're looking for a possible cash game play under $7,000, take a look at Tim Wilkinson. Silky Wilkie, he's made 12 of 15 cuts this year, and he's only $6,000, which is pretty solid for a person at that price. All right, so that's it for this week. For more fantasy golf knowledge, check out the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast on iTunes. Brad Mastersmith, another Slurve contributor, and I go over our favorite plays in all price ranges every week. Also, make sure to check out Brad's GPP video on Slurve and all the expert chats run by this site. A lot of very knowledgeable people work for Slurve, and you should take advantage of all of them. All right, so good luck, win some money, and I'll see you all next week.